Alright then folks, welcome to another episode of Hooked. My name's John Murray and I'm an angling addict, and today I'm doing another tackle talk, and it's on this beauty, the Octbox D36. Now to be quite honest, I was going to do you a fishing video, but I went out yesterday and the fishing weren't great, so I've decided not to put you through the torture that I enjoyed down at Redwood Park. So I often get asked about the Octbox, what I think its strengths are, what its weaknesses are. Now I've had this Octbox for probably about a year and a half now. To be quite honest, you know, it's been used and abused, and I think I'm fairly qualified to say exactly what I do and don't like about this box. Things that you need to look out for should you consider purchasing one. They are a fantastic bit of kit, but we'll get into it. I'll get some close-ups on the box. We'll show you all the little bits that I don't like, all the bits that I do like, how I set the box up, and I'm always trying to figure out better ways of, you know, having my kit laid out around me. And there are certain things around this box which do cause me issues at times, and I've been putting various different attachments on the box just to try and improve my setup, get myself comfy, because that's vitally important when you're fishing. Being comfy, having everything to hand, you know, it just matters a lot. Right, I'm going to set this bad boy up on a time lapse, so okay, so we'll set up. Wasn't too onerous. I've got most of my attachments set around me now, so not all of this is Octbox stuff. They do various attachments that you can put on the box, etc. But I do find that I like the Matrix 3DR. They're very quick, you know, you can just snap them in and out. Work perfectly for me. Yeah, there's no messing about putting all your various attachments on. In this configuration right now, I've got the bump bar on, which is, well, it's a good way out, and it's actually on the pivoting arms at this moment in time, so you can move it left and right just to get it out of your way when you're fishing the pole. The distance from this seat out to the bump bar is probably a good 1.5 meters, so it's well out there compared to most other boxes. You know, the stability on that, the fulcrum point, is absolutely fantastic for supporting the pole. So like on the video where I was down at Plainville fishing off the bump bar, it makes a huge difference just for the support that you're getting on the pole, particularly when you're fishing in high winds. So what don't I like so much? Well, the side tray, it's absolutely rock solid. I mean, they do say that you can stand on these. Shall I try it? Never tried it. They reckon you can. Yeah, a little bit dodgy, I think. This is on the, if we've got the arms down, let's sit that down a bit, so I'm not going to go anywhere. You probably need some counterbalance on here, to be fair, but there we go. I'll stand one-legged on the edge of the side tray. So they are absolutely solid, no support leg needed. That's the beauty about it. The downside for me is it's not that big. You can probably get 8 full-sized bait tubs in there. There's quite a lot of wasted space because of the frame. I've got a ground bait ball attachment that comes on the front of here. That's a bit of a gimmick, to be fair. I don't really use it. I'll grab them. I usually use one of the Matrix ball types and just put it on the front leg. But yeah, I'll get those out and we'll have a look at them. So here we go. This is the ground bait bowl. So it's just a plastic bowl, basically. And this metal tray. Now, I find this, you know, again, it's a great big bulky thing to carry around. There's no bag that it really sits in quite nicely, so it's a bit of a pain. It's all right if you're rolling straight out of the back of your van or your car, but if you've got to carry it anywhere, it just don't work for me. So I use the collapsible PVA type system. Now the way this works is it's supposed to pivot on the front of these. I'll get some close-ups on all of these for you. So it slots in like that. Okay, so the ground bait bowl's on. It's down here, it's to hand. The idea is that you can swing it under the side tray and get out of the rain. Problem, it catches on the side tray legs. So then you need to position this higher so that it can go underneath, or you need to lift up your lid on the back edge, which is actually these two, and raise that lid up a bit, which could, in theory, defeat the object of trying not to get your bait wet underneath it. It's still going to work, you know, but you've got a gap there now. But at least that bowl can slide underneath. The metal basket part is designed for holding a couple of guru bait boxes. You know, you can just put any bits and bobs in there if you don't want bait boxes in it. So it's a decent thing, but I had the Preston Storm Shield before this, and those pouches to hold various things, and I do tend to keep my hooks wallet in here, but what I've had to do is Velcro onto the lid and pop it on there. One of the other problems with this side tray is that when they actually come with the big hand wheels, so I'll get some close-ups of those, but they actually come with these big hand wheels mounted into the side here, and it takes up all the gap where you'd want to run your landing net handle. So yeah, what I've done is I've got a couple of the Matrix 3DR arms, a short cross arm on the front, a long one on the back, and that gives me a nice stable place. And I've swapped out the larger hand wheel screws for the little metal thumb screws, but again, you know, the metal thumb screws aren't that great. I mean, they're fine on the side tray, but on these extending posts, I don't find they're that strong. I mean, you know, that's fairly solid now, but they're not the easiest thing to tighten up. And sometimes they move around. Other things I like. I love this extending keep net bar, whatever you want to call it, that the bump bar extends off. And you've got the fittings to get your keep nets on there. You can put one either side on that bar, and then you can have one in the centre. You can have your keep net sat in there, right in front of your foot plate. The amount of times we all drop fish, invariably they'll land up in your net with this system. These are the keep net attachments, so you just put those onto your keep net, and basically they mount straight onto the box, or from the bump bar, straight on the side of there. They can be adjusted up and down, and you've got one of those either side. So on the other legs, I've actually put in an extending post fitting. So this one has an insert where I can actually put a camera point. So sometimes if I'm filming for you guys, I'll mount a camera onto this post and just get it up on an angle so that I can point down on the tip. So that's one of my filming points. Downside of the big bump bar, if you are fishing pole and feeder, then there's a lot of clutter in front of you. You know, ideally you need to get that out of your way. So I do find either, if I'm fishing short on the feeder, I may just fish off the bump bar and move it across on the pivot arms. I don't always put the pivot arms on, it's not always required, but if I'm fishing feeder, then I will put them on so that I can move it out of the way slightly, because trying to take this in and out during the course of a match or a session is just a bit of a nightmare, particularly if that's all over the water. So those are some of the negatives about the box, but obviously when you're buying a box, you know, you need to consider what's right for you. And I ummed and ahed for about 3 years, and obviously had to save up to get this whole system, and I've got a lot of attachments with it. As I say, some of it annoys me. I may contemplate changing the side tray out for something lighter weight in future. The actual reason we all buy an Octobox really is for stability, and the D36 is an absolute beast at stability. So the beauty of the system is you've got the 36mm legs, it's all aluminium, it's absolutely rock solid. This is just a natural venue angler's dream box. It never ever moves. It is, you know, I haven't even set this up in here, and it's solid in the grass. The leg system on the D36 is different to on the D25. Obviously it's a 36mm leg with a 25mm insert post, but down on the foot you've got like a solid aluminium leg with teeth in it, which stops you sliding down any slippery banks, but also you've got the mud foot which actually pivots above that, so the leg will cut into the bank and then the mud foot will stop you sinking in. The D25 doesn't have that, it just tends to have smaller metal mud feet now, and I think people have struggled with that, and they end up putting like bait tub lids underneath it or bait boxes, which kind of defeats the object in my opinion. Right, I'm going to strip these bits off the box, and what I'll do is I'll get the big outrigger on and I'll show you what this thing can do, or the depths that you can actually get the box out into should you be fishing on a bank that's like that basically, or you're going over the water and there's a fairly steep drop off. Still doesn't work on the Derwent where it's about 15 foot straight down, but if you've got 4 or 5 foot, this thing will go out over it, and you can rest assured you ain't moving anywhere. Okay, we're stripped down. Here's the outrigger. You need its own bag for it really, because there's nothing else that really fits it. This is an absolute beast of a piece of kit. This is the outrigger itself. It's just a bar, so you've no need for a platform with this box. And these are the outrigger legs. These are for the front really. You could potentially use some longer ones on the back. I've not found the need yet. These will go up to, well, so if I stand next to that, those legs are up to my shoulder. That's some depth of water that you can get out into with this box. So you've probably seen this before, but I'll show you how this outrigger goes on. So in order to make it work, you need to drop the legs out, the inner legs out the front. And just make sure your posts are out of the way. Now it is a fairly tight fit. I know the first time I tried getting this into the box it was fairly difficult, but you just need to persuade it a little bit and it should go. Helps if you undo the hand wheels. Okay. Now I'm not going to put the long legs on this, but you can see now that basically the width of the box on the front is right out here. You can imagine the stability that gives you when you sink these long legs into that system. It's just a beast, an absolute beast. You're moving nowhere. I only used this once last year and that was on the ooze. You probably can't see it on the video, but if you go and check out the River Ooze match video, you may get a glimpse of it while I'm sat on the box with the body camera. I'll put a link to that up here. So that's the outrigger system. A little bit stiff to get in, but well worth the effort. Okay, so front legs back in. Still got to show you the trolley system. The whole box just converts into a trolley. There's no need for a barrow with this. You can get all your gear on it. I only use a single wheel because I walk down rough tracks, but you can get various configurations. You can get powered wheels, you can get 4 wheels. There's a lot of people that actually make these out on the internet, and the wheel that I use is actually made by a chap who does them on Facebook. So it's not a genuine Octbox wheel, but I got it because it's got a fixed axle on it and it's much stronger than the original Octbox wheel. So this is the wheel I'm using. I think it's a 14 inch. Absolutely rock solid. Yeah, I've had no problems with this. I'll put a link to the chap who makes these in the description down below. So let's have another little time lapse, set the barrow up. Right guys, so that's effectively the barrow configured. I generally put my long accessory bag, so your rollers and roosts, on the foot plate here, and my heavy carry-all goes out on the end there, and it counterbalances the trolley, you know, significantly. All the hold all etc goes over the top. Now in theory you can put these side trays and just have all your bait in these. I never do it, just don't find it's that practical in reality, but the theory was that you can have all your side trays set up and take your bait and just basically put your side tray on the side of your box with all your bait in, ready for a match. Doesn't work for me though. But you can just lift up the legs, and this gets that tray out of the way, so it's easy for transportation now. Makes a nice flat base. You can lay your hold all out over there. Once you've got your bags on, hold all over the top. A couple of bungees, nothing ever falls off it. It's rock solid. The only thing you've got to worry about is, you know, just making sure that you're balanced. But generally speaking, I mean, right now that's, you know, it's really light. Put all your extra bags and a load of rods on it, and yeah, it does get a bit heavier, to be fair. But there's other systems, you know, if single wheel's too heavy for you, you can go down another route. Right, let's get this stripped down. I'll show you the feeder arm, how that attaches, and I think that's pretty much it. The only other attachments I've got are like a 3-rod holder for fishing the feeders, but that's just a Preston version, and a Preston brolly arm as well. I don't use Octbox's versions on those. At the moment I'm using the Preston Octbox 36 roost kit. Usually I find a home for it on the top of the 25 post on the left hand side here, but I am looking to change that, to be honest, and I kind of want one that'll come off the side of my side tray. It's like anything, I mean, there's so many attachments on these boxes. It makes it, you know, comfortable fishing, but then you can end up with too much clutter in your way. So yeah, I don't use all of these attachments all of the time, obviously, and just try and limit it to what I do need on the day, but most of them are used at some point. Okay, let's get the feeder arm on. So this is Octbox's own feeder arm. Solid aluminium bit of kit. It's not the lightest thing in the world, and I was a little bit confused as to how it works initially, but yeah, it's fairly straightforward. It actually mounts on this arm here. Now at the moment you can spin that in any orientation. I actually want to get a second one of these and keep it on the front of this leg as well, because I do swap sides with the feeder arm. If I'm out on the river, I generally have the feeder arm on my right hand side, purely because if it's up in the air like so, then I want to be sat on that like that, looking at that rod in my right hand. If you're out somewhere like Southfield, then you know, you may have your feeder arm down to the left over here, across your body, striking across your body. But in that instance, I actually find that the feeder arm would be mounted better on the left hand side and keep this area in front of the box free of any obstacles. So having two connection points, I think these are about £8 each or something, so they're not dear. The feeder arm itself is only 30 quid. When you think of the cost of the Feederland feeder arm, I think it's £85. You know, this yeah, maybe a little bit better than this one, but you know, these are rock solid. At the end of the day, it's a feeder arm. It does a job. Okay, so what else have I changed? Well, I've actually got one of these seats, which was made for me by Custom Seatbox UK. They are far bigger than the original Octbox seat, and I tried to get on with it, but the loop that you actually use for the pole, it was a horrible arrangement. You've probably seen them online. So I had this seat made with a proper decent pole strap. That pole strap is just head and shoulders above the original Octbox one, and the padding on that seat is probably twice as thick. And of course, we've got the Hooked Fishing Channel logo on there. And if you guys are wondering about the box stickers, these will be available for purchase in my store, which I'm about to launch shortly. So stay tuned for that. So what else is there about the D36 that I like? Octbox in general, really. It's the height adjustable frame. So this frame can be adjusted without the need to add more drawers or take drawers off. You can raise it up or down and get yourself comfy so that your legs are that 90-degree square, your feet are flat on your foot plate. It's got spirit levels all around to try and help you get it stable. 6 legs, you don't actually need to use all 6. You can actually work off the fronts and the backs and it will be absolutely solid, even for a big bloke. The legs, etc., never jam. Like most boxes, you know, they start marking up. There are non-mark system on these. There's just some kind of internal clamp on them, which makes them really, really good. Most effective set of legs I've ever used. No need to lubricate them or anything, just you know, give them a little clean every now and again, and jobs are good. And on the front of the D25 post leg here, I keep just basically my rear feeder arm attachment, so that can sit on, and I can turn that to suit, get my rod butt in there nice and tight, and yeah, that's always nicely to hand if I'm fishing, or I can stick it out a little bit further and just adjust it. Downside of having it there is that sometimes you don't clear the draw, so you just got to move it out of the way. So that's pretty much all the things that I like about the box, all the things I don't like about the box. I guess you're wondering what's inside it. Let's have a look, shall we? Okay, so you've got really strong catches on this box, by the way. But if I lift the lid, there is actually no storage under the D36 or any of the Octboxes. So there is this sort of recessed area. But in order to put winders in, you need to buy these dividers. Well, these ones are box trays, but you can get them from other manufacturers. So in there, I just generally have a lot of silver fishing rigs, a lot of my shallow rigs, and yeah, as you know, I fish a lot of different venues, so I keep a lot of rigs to hand. I do have other boxes with rigs in, but you know, I always like to have a few of pretty much anything. In the top drawer, it's really just an odds and sods drawer. Got some shot pliers, some scissors, a few hooks from the previous session, meat punches, bands, etc. Shot, and a few sort of less frequently used rigs. You can get, I think these are the 26cm winders, which will go in the drawers. So they fit in sideways across the drawer. Next drawer down, I've got all my, basically all my whip rigs, a few less frequently used rigs, quite a few little river rigs here, just really lightweight ones for roaching, and some old school Drennan carbos that I just walked out with. Love these floats. So yeah, usually use those on still waters for breaming, but I've been moving to the AS8s more recently. So these little AS8s are spot on as well. But they're the 18cm winders. Again, box trays divided down the middle, and you can get, well, pretty much 2 racks of those in there. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, so 24, so you can get 48 rigs in that side tray. Obviously you can swap trays out as well if you buy more side trays. The slightly deeper drawer, again I've got this divided out with box trays dividers, and really this is just all the little bits that I generally use in a session. So I've got all my lines, I only stick to the power line, but yeah, you've got 8 spools of line there that you can use. All my stops and shots, just the small ones, bread punches, plummets, different float tips for the Drennan SF and AS floats, some feeder booms, baiting needles, a lighter for my hand warmers, banding tool, some more bread punches, pentool pen for marking the depth of the pole rigs, a little bread punch, it's like a pellet punch this actually, for punching out bread. So you can just make a little punch of liquidized bread with that. Hook tire, marker pen, loop tires, various disgorgers, and then all my little odds and sods, float rubbers, clip beads, swivels, micro swivels, yeah, waggler adapters, all sorts of little bits and bobs in those, beads, just the little things that tend to get lost. Then just back there I've got some bristle grease, some float paints just to change tip colours on the floats that don't have interchangeable tips, a little bit of fluorocarbon, and I've got some carp stiff link there just in case I need some really solid line to make some booms. Fourth drawer down, again just a set of 26cm winders, and in here I've really just got all my deep canal rigs, and river rigs, deep river rigs. And I've got a couple of sets of bollo floats just always made up at the back there, just so that if I'm ever in a pickle, you know, I've got something that I can reach for. And these generally cover most of my fishing situations. You know, I generally make up rigs up to, most pole rigs up to about 3 gram. Anything beyond that is specialist, and I tend to store them elsewhere. And I'll make up the bollos up to about 5 gram, and then anything bigger again I store elsewhere on specialist winders. Then finally, in the bottom, I've got all my natural feeders. So these are removable trays. You can take these in and out. You could put a box in there. This is a very deep sided tray. I think it's about 3.5 to 4 centimeters. But yeah, you can put whatever trays of feeders that you want in there. Generally I've got the Matrix horizons, various different horizon types, some plastic feeders, more Nisa plastic feeders, some bell cage feeders, and a lot of my Drennan black caps. And that, guys, is my Octbox in a nutshell. So I hope you found this video of some use. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode every time I upload one. If you want to know any more about the Octbox, then, you know, drop me a message down below, and if you can share the video out as well, please do so. It really helps out the channel. Okay guys, thanks for watching, and until the next one, tight lines.